Hey guys, and we are back. Let's just get this in focus. Probably turn. Okay, so today we are going to talk about how I became a freelancer. This is not essentially going to be a how to become a freelancer at whatever, but we'll be talking about my journey towards becoming a freelancer. Maybe there's some tips here. We'll just talk it out, see what happens. I've been operating as a freelance web and graphic designer for over 10 years now. I would take a guess at about 12, maybe 13. And I want to talk about the pros and cons. There's a lot of people out there who feel that becoming a freelance designer has this sort of dream lifestyle to it. But there are aspects of that where you tend to, I wouldn't say enjoy life more than someone who's employed, but to put it into perspective, you do get opportunities that are a lot more different to someone who is employed and has to work in an office with other people and has deadlines and bosses looking over their shoulders. I don't like that. I think everyone has it in themselves to do what they want to do for a living, but that is a totally different story. Okay, so let's start right back a decade ago when I was still back in the South Wales valleys. I was in my late teens, early 20s, maybe, probably late teens, I'm not that old. And the recession hit. That kind of wiped out a lot of employment opportunities back home. There were still employment opportunities where they were factory-based, food production-based, because that's the type of opportunities you get back home in the South Wales valleys. I didn't see that as a viable career. I personally felt that I could have moved. I had much more to give in life than putting lids on pots of sauces that would later on go and be distributed in supermarkets. Okay, but yeah, so in my downtime back home in South Wales, there wasn't any job opportunities I felt that applied to my mentality as well as my own personal skill set. So I took time out to develop web-based skills. I literally sat on my computer for 3 years straight, literally like 3 years with breaks every now and then, but I spent 16 hours a day just reading code, understanding code, using all the Adobe software, the entire Adobe suite, literally painting by hand. Painting was something I did before I decided to grow my own personal skill base. So now I incorporate that skill I developed through school as well into my own career here. So yeah, the first 3 years of being self-employed or acting as a freelance designer were probably the hardest 3 years of my life. Financially, you was not sure when the next paycheck would come through. You wasn't quite sure how to acquisition your own sales. I mean, acquisition of sales is an entire thing in its own right. It's not something that is talked about a lot for freelancers, but you have to acquisition sales in order to do your freelance productivity. So yeah, there's a huge misconception going on where things like this are not talked about. People, I feel on YouTube, especially other freelancers, they show like the graphics and the kind of like interest inside of it. But I feel that this channel, even though we should be fun, let's address what really happens in this type of environment. So yeah, sales acquisition was a pain in the first 3 years. If you've got a supporting family that really wants you to thrive in your own ideas, then it would be always tell your parents that you're gonna be like, hey, I want to be a professional photographer. It's going to take a while for me to grow a portfolio. I'm not going to be making an income for X amount of time. I just want you to know that I might ask you to support me from time to time. And you know, you need to like break through those boundaries, be open and transparent to the people who are close to you about what you want to do in life. For me, my parents didn't see eye to eye with what I wanted to do at the very beginning. They are very proud of what I do now, which is, you know, is a bonus. It is a cherry on top of the cake. But I do understand that some families don't give that support. I've been asked questions myself on how do you get into the position you're in, where people literally find me rather than me having to acquisition clients now. Even though I do still propose projects to larger companies, it's always good to have larger companies on your books, as we call it, or larger companies that are communicating with you to see what you can provide to their business. But yeah, at the very beginning, you're approaching very small businesses that have poor cash flow or poor budgeting for the type of service that you can offer. For me, design, branding, websites, design for print like business cards and so on. They don't have those types of facilities. They solely rely on grants from the local councils. And even when they do apply for a grant from the local council for like a website, the council will only give them a very small amount of money. So when I'm approached by someone who's starting up a company, the budget they offer me is never close to what they want. But we'll talk about that in a moment, because you can offer heavily discounted work to help a company start up, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Or for charities. Charities is another one. But yeah, that's how it all starts out, really. Acquisition is a pain. You have to communicate with local businesses, branch out through your own geographic location, and then become, once you become proficient at bringing a consistent income in through a local acquisition, then you can start looking at the internet side of things. It would vary, but basically, depending on what you want to do as a freelancer or as a company business idea, depends on the way you would start. So you can start by doing online sales and then branch out. This would probably relate more to physical products, to be honest. So you can easily start an online store. Shopify, you can start an online store with WordPress, and there's loads of other solutions available there as well. So start online if you've got a small budget, branch out into offline, open your own shop then eventually, and start selling products through there. And running your website in the back office, which is a brilliant sort of idea to branch on. Okay, so growing a portfolio from free work. Always use some literature, even if you are offering some free work to someone. If you're going to offer to do some photography, if you're going to make a basic website for someone, put it in writing, so they got it to look at, and they'll go, okay, so I'll pay for the domain name and the hosting, so they can pay for that, but you put the design onto that, and make sure that your literature, your communication between them, because phone calls are not really that good, because it's always what someone said that someone else said, so always put it through an email, so you can always go back to that if something goes wrong, or if there's any miscommunication. You can always refer to the text that you have sent them. So yeah, grow your portfolio by offering free services, put in writing of what you're going to provide, and deliver that. And awesome, you've got some portfolio pieces. Make sure the client's happy, follow up, ask for feedback, make slight adjustments based on what what their impressions of, what their expectations were, and how close to their expectations were you. In most cases, if you've done your background work like me, and you know what you're doing, you'll always excel your clients' expectations. Even if you might run into errors, you can always fix those. But yeah, always strive to excel your clients' expectations. Ask them exactly what they want. Ask them to show you examples of what they're after. Don't copy the examples, take some inspiration and move on. Never rip off someone else's work. So many businesses now who do what other businesses do. Or you have to look at the best companies that operate and do what they do, but do it better. That's such a basic tip, but I do feel that people should follow that. Don't be afraid to educate your clients too. If they're incorrect about something, be polite. As a freelancer, you may run into some conversations where people try and rope you in to a project and they'll go, right, we'll do a profit share with you, but we need you to build the website, the brand, this, that. And then so you do like $5,000 worth of work for a profit share for a company, and you find out that guy, he's just farting ideas out. So you gotta be careful with that. As a young person, I haven't really bought into those types of partnerships. I've got bills to pay, and this is what I say to a lot of people who talk to me like that. I've got bills to pay, so you need to find funding for this, but I can give you a discounted rate for a partnership or a profit share. I don't recommend going into these long hog projects because it's gonna financially ruin you. And a web designer can't do much when they're living on the streets. Yeah, let's look at the misconceptions about being a freelancer. Let's look at the travel side of things. Okay, so traveling often is very easily achievable. Your expenses are covered by your client who you travel to see. Always put that in the price, make that clear that, you know, my travel expenses to come to see you are this, that, and that. That means that you can take a client on anywhere in the world. Don't bill them the world though. Obviously, just bill the travel expenses, and then obviously the project costing. Take your profit out of that. Take your wage out of that, and yeah, you can obviously live a bit on your wage while you're away. A good example of this would be last year I went to Santorini to photograph a wedding, which was absolutely amazing. The island was awesome and so forth. I ended up staying on Santorini a few days before the wedding and a few days after. Why not make a trip out of that? That is a sensible way of doing that. So counterbalance your profit and put your expense in your price for the project. In December, I traveled a lot of the UK. I pretty much did not do any productivity in December at all. I traveled the UK with FIVERR.com. I spoke at the London event, the General Assembly there, which was awesome. There was a lot of press there as well. These types of events give you exposure. I paid for my travel myself, but through networking on these types of things, those expenses that I paid for myself are recuperating now with profit from deals that I've landed from meeting people traveling the UK. So having that type of mentality where you're gonna go, right, it'll cost X amount of money to get here, but while I'm here, I'll acquisition some jobs. If your portfolio speaks for itself and your confidence is pretty good, you don't have a chip on your shoulder like a salesman, always be down to earth, personal, you're gonna find it so much easier to acquisition jobs, find leads. Okay, so now I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna burst everyone's bubble. Like I said, I've been working as a freelancer for over a decade now. If you want to choose a career path very similar to mine, be prepared to earn very little at the beginning. it's almost like a snowball effect. The snowball gets bigger the further it goes. So be prepared to ask people who are close to you for support. I've touched on this already. Be prepared to do free work to grow your portfolio. And be prepared to make some people unhappy with the jobs that you do. And obviously learn from your own mistakes. 100% out of 100%, I can guarantee you, if someone is not happy with a product or service that you have provided them, it is down to the amount of communication prior to delivery. I always try to make it easier for my clients now. So when I onboard a client, I send them a questionnaire. It's got about 25 questions and it covers all the main aspects that you would need or need some information on to create a product from start to finish. There's some things missed out, like content for a website. That is either provided by myself, then I get a third-party proofreader to go over that, and then the content's put on the website. That is charged on top of the website price. Or the client provides their own copy for sections of the website where you copy and paste on. That is the bare bones there. Without going too far ahead, if a client provides the copy for the website, chances are the search engine optimization value of that content is going to be terrible. If the client themselves hired me to make the content, it's going to be SEO rich and proofread by a professional. So there's two different sides to that. So yeah, you have to educate your clients every step of the way, unfortunately. But yeah, the lifestyle's pretty good now. I got my own place, got my home studio. I rent offices in different locations around the UK if and when I need them, which is perfect. I'll put a link to WEWORK in the description below, so you can go check their services out. Okay. But they provide free services for freelancers and entrepreneurs and small. I wouldn't say small because you could be a freelancer, but your turnover can be just as big as a company that has got like 20 staff. So don't let that fool you that there's limitations to being a freelancer. You can also facilitate work too. So if you're too busy to take something on, always make sure you know other quality designers, and you can always get them involved in a project, which is totally awesome. It's always good to network like that. And obviously when those designers are busy and they have an overflow, they will be in contact with you. So it's good to grow your own network, your own economy around what you do. If you're a photographer, get to know other photographers. If there's a job you can't do, give your mate a ring who's an awesome photographer who also has an awesome portfolio. He'll be happy to turn up for you. He'll do the job for you. His customer service is going to be amazing, and you're going to take 25% of that, and you can't even do the job. Think about it. It's facilitation. That's how small individuals become companies. Okay. If there's any questions you want to know, please ask me. There's so much to talk about. I mean, sales acquisition, I only touched on that. There are so many different ways to acquisition sales. But yeah, if you're gonna do this in the long run, like me, be prepared to ask for a helping hand, because you really need it at the beginning. And just go with it. I used to live at home with my parents. I used to operate in my own bedroom like 7 years ago now, but I know I've got my own place, I've got my own home studio, I travel a lot. I have a lot of free time on my hands, which I use on creative stuff. So it's just, I don't know, my life is just so unusual, I guess. And for someone starting out to want to become self-sustainable like myself, it is daunting. I think I'm going to do another video on this topic at some point, because it's just so much to talk about. It's unreal. But yeah. And if it doesn't work out for you, don't be afraid to pick up the tools again and give it a try. I know a lot of people Like I've met a lot of people since moving to Liverpool who have like literally just tried to do what I do for a fortnight, get negative about it, and just go to the job centre and just sign on and earn pennies for the same job they can do at home for themselves. So, you know, there's a side to it like that. And yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna touch on this quite briefly, but there's a lot of, ever since the internet has become a thing now, I've noticed that it's caused like some mental illness, like, and people don't talk about it a lot, but I wouldn't say I'm a victim of it because I operate on the internet, but you get a lot of people who are in a dream world who you talk to, and it's quite common in major UK cities. You literally have people who are they're just out of it. They just look at social media and they don't see that there is a hustle behind like all this effort. So with that being said, if you're susceptible to like what you see on social media, take control of it now, like in here, see through it. There's a hustle behind it. If you have a day job and you're watching someone on YouTube, or you see someone's Instagram post and they seem to be having fun all the time, it is not like that. There is a hustle behind it. There is a good lifestyle to this type of career, but those positive like instances are shared on social media. The hard work behind everything is never shared. So remember that if you're prepared to go self-employed, remember to put in the hours as well. Put the hours, underpaid hours, especially to start off with, and to build yourself up from there. So yeah, I just wanted to hit that moment because yeah, there is a lot of daydreamers out there who don't put their ideas into action, and you really gotta do that. Just go for it, just do it, you know? I've got a nice home studio here, I've got the nice Apple suite over there, I've got a computer here which I built myself, which is amazing. I mean, the performance on this thing is like, okay. For the video, thanks for watching guys. Please give me as many questions as you can below. It is so hard to structure so much content into such a small video that is digestible on eBay. So one last thing, I would say subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to work on the video productivity of this a lot more, so the quality's a lot better at some point. But at the moment, I just roll in these videos out, laying off my thoughts, sharing some stories. But yeah, sign up to my mailing list below as well, because I'll put a lot of blog content into that, and free design resources if you like getting inspiration from others. But yeah, thanks for watching guys. Peace out.